What's going on, guys? So we have reached the end. We are now at the end, the last video of Sonic Month. Like I said when I started this month, I did not start out with the mindset of Sonic Month, but it just lined up that way. That said, I'm going to be talking about something very near and dear to me, and really I'm going to be defending a game. Sonic Adventure 1 has gotten a lot of flack throughout the years, and I'm not going to lie, nostalgia has definitely played a major part in my love for this game. I know it has its flaws, but I am here to defend it in the sense that this game is definitely more important than you think. It's important for the Sonic franchise, it's important for 3D Sonic specifically, but it's very, very important for the Dreamcast. So without further ado, let's jump into my defense of Sonic Adventure 1. So Sonic Adventure 1 is Sonic's first real outing in the 3D environment. And no, we're not going to talk about Sonic 3D Blast. That's an isometric game. I mean, if we're saying that's 3D, then we're saying Mario RPG is 3D, and we're saying, like, Saber Wolf is 3D. No, this is Sonic's first true 3D outing, kind of like the big moment when you popped in Mario 64. And this game came out 1999 as a launch title for the Dreamcast. Now, for the sake of this video, I'm going to be playing the Sonic Adventure DX version on the Xbox, only because it's like straight easier to record, but in general, all my points are going to remain the same. So to start out with, just to really prove that I'm not like going to just fanboy the hell out of this video, I will start with some of the bad stuff, just in general, just to know that I'm looking at it from all angles. And the big obvious glares in this game are the pacing, if you break it up and play everything in order, and I'll get on that a little bit later, and of course, glitchiness, weirdnesses, facial expressions, and a lot of that, in this game's defense, has to do with the fact that it's a Japanese game, and they tried their best to make the mouths line up, which never really works well, especially back in the days of 1999, but, you know, there was just general jank, right? I mean, Mario 64 wasn't absolutely beautiful, perfect when you pop it in. Nostalgically it is, but I mean, like, really look at that game. It's not like, you know, nowadays. So when you're going back and playing a re-release like the Sonic Adventure DX, you look at this game, you're like, man, this is maybe not that good. But if you played this at launch, 1999 on a Dreamcast, this shit was bonkers. But now let's go ahead and talk about each of the different characters' gameplay. So obviously, best place to start, Sonic. You know, you're playing as Sonic, and one thing that I will immediately say I like, that I really want to return, if done correctly, and that is the kind of like open world in between missions. Granted, in Sonic Unleashed, I didn't like that version, and in, you know, obviously Sonic 06, I did not like that version, but in this game, it just seemed tight and concise, and very, you know, just generally okay. Like, it was a cool little addition. You could find your power-ups out in the world, and it was very neat. I liked it. There wasn't an abundance of stupid things to do, missions, or what have you, but it is a cool part of the game. Now, Sonic himself. Sonic's levels are all very what you'd expect, right? It's a 3D action platformer based around speed. They've really kind of tightened up Sonic's movement with this game. This is where you introduce the light dash, which kind of lets you home in on enemies, which makes it so much easier when you're transitioning from 2D to 3D. In 2D, it's very easy to just jump on an enemy, pop them, whatever. You're used to it since Mario. You're conditioned to do that. Going into the 3D space was a Wild West scenario back then. So the innovation of the light dash, I know it doesn't seem like a crazy thing, but back then it was. And the innovation of the light dash really, really made a big difference. But, you know, that's how Sonic's levels play. You go through, basically run to the end, break a capsule, or what have you. There's several of them have missions depending on the plot-specific details. Of course, you can go back through and play the levels again for higher rankings and more emblems, which I'll also touch on that later. But generally, that's what you're going to get from a Sonic level. You're going to get a fun time, exactly what you want, you know, action platformer, just as you feel it should be. So now we go on to the Tails levels. Now, The first thing you're going to think is, okay, this is just a retread. We're doing more platforming, more action platforming, and it's the same exact levels. What the hell? Now, you got to think about it though. First off, they have cut his levels down dramatically. So with Tails, you're basically playing maybe half of Sonic's game, which is more or less, they're all obviously the same levels as Sonic because the whole point's racing him, but it's kind of like, well, you know, more action platforming, that's what you're expecting from this game. But in defense of the argument, you know, against the whole, this is all a retread, his levels are very different because Tails is based around flying. Now, the whole point is just to race Sonic, get to the end, what have you, but the levels themselves are different. So it's like, you kind of get more of the same, but also they acknowledged that, hey, you know, we don't want you to have to play every single level again because you're going to get burnout, you're going to think this is padding. So it's like they gave you just enough to have a good time, but then also, you know, just enough to not overstay its welcome, but they changed it up. And, you know, to me, that really kind of makes Tails' levels, you know, all the different, right? Like, it's definitely worth checking them out. And you know, obviously you have to beat them for the plot, but I mean, it's not just a boring retread, but that's all you're doing. So from here, we're going to go with the last of the samey kind of levels, with a Amy kind of level. Okay, that was bad. Anyway, the last of the kind of action platformer stages. You know, Sonic, obviously action platformer, Tails followed suit. This, as playing as Amy, it is following that same pattern, but it's a little different. It's not geared on speed, it's much more geared on platforming and evading. So you're being chased by this robot like the whole time. Very plot important, won't get into that. But because of that, you get different tools and stuff, including her famous hammer, which lets you bounce, jump around. You're opening switches, you're opening puzzles. They have all sorts of neat little things that make her levels different, just enough to break it up, but also you're revisiting the same worlds and levels as the other characters, and this is going to be a theme throughout the game. However, the paths are different, and the entire feel is different. And so, you know, this is actually a cool breakup for me because it slowed everything down and let you kind of get a view and enjoy the worlds a little bit better while also doing something different. So it didn't seem monotonous and it didn't seem like you're doing the same exact thing. So, you know, in general, at this point, we've now played 3 characters and all 3 of them played more or less the same in the sense of it's a 3D action platformer, but now is when the game like really opens up and goes crazy with the following characters. So Knuckles is our first character where things really start to feel different. Gone is the platforming, action-y kind of stages, and now you have more of a sandbox. You know, I'm not going to say open world, because like when I think open world, I think gigantic Breath of the Wild, but you do get a sandbox, and all of his levels involve going and searching for the emerald pieces. Now, some people, you know, either love or hate these levels, but from a gameplay perspective, this is genius, and the rest of the characters are also genius. And that is, you know, let's go back to another great launch title, Mario 64. We've been talking about that a little bit throughout this video, and Mario 64 is the same thing in every level. Action platformer, go find a star, whatever. This is really where this game shines. Now, Knuckles plays obviously entirely different than the other 3 characters so far. You're flying around, following clues, and digging out these Chaos Emerald pieces, basically like a treasure hunt. I mean, it's awesome. It breaks up the monotony of going through and just doing the same thing over and over and over again. And so I'm going to bring this up in detail later on, the way I played it when I was growing up, because I do believe this makes a very big impact on how you feel about the game. But just for the time being, you can see here is the first example of basically an entire gameplay switch. It's like having an entirely different style game already like in this action platformer package. And like I said, it just keeps on continuing with the different characters. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, this is most people's probably favorite part of the game, and that is playing as E102 Gamma. In fact, so good that they decided to make a whole third of Sonic Adventure 2 play this same playstyle. Basically, you run around, lock on, and shoot stuff, and you are looking to earn time rather than beat it backwards. I don't know, it doesn't matter, because the timing is only for certain challenges. You're not going to pay attention to that. These levels are fun as hell. The power-ups are great. You get the ability to kind of glide, shoot more shots, lock onto more lock-ons, and they are fun. They are so cool. And once again, yeah, I'm gonna keep saying this, and it breaks up the monotony of doing the same thing over and over again. You know, it's really interesting how many different genres this game kind of touches. And I'm telling you, when we get a little bit later on, there's some stuff that happens in the Sonic levels that I didn't touch on, that I will touch on in a second, which really just broadens that view. But anyway, we have one more character to talk about, and he's the one that not many people like to talk about. Big the Cat. You know, I find it hilarious that everybody loves a fishing minigame in their RPGs, but nobody loves the Big the Cat levels from Sonic Adventure. I love the Big the Cat levels from Sonic Adventure, but I'm going to tell you why. Earlier in the video, I brought up the fact that I played this game a certain way, and I do believe that that has a lot to do with why I enjoy this game so much. I think that if you play it this way, you might feel the same way that I do, and that is the, in my mind, wrong way to play this game is to go character by character and beat the whole thing. Beat all of Sonic, beat all of Tails, beat all of Knuckles, beat all of Amy, because usually you're going to get to Big the Cat last, and you know, you're on this high streak of all these action stages, or you know, you probably finished with Gamma blowing stuff up, and then now you have a whole bunch of fishing back to back to back to back, and I can see how that would drag on. However, the way I played this game growing up is I did sit down and beat Sonic all at once. Like, Sonic was in there. But then I jumped around the other characters and enjoyed a couple levels here, enjoyed a couple levels there, and then broke them up with the Chow Garden, which I'll talk about later. But basically the way I did it is I'd play a level or two of Tails, go do a Big the Cat level. I'd go do a level or two of Amy, go do a Big the Cat level. And it's kind of nice, because it's like, just like in an RPG, or maybe even Zelda, you know, you're not fishing non-stop straight for hours. You're kind of doing it in between doing other things. And because of that, I enjoy the Big the Cat levels, because they were like a nice little relaxing kind of stress relief in a way. But once again, if you don't play it that way, I can definitely see how you may not have a good time. But I'm telling you, if you play it that way, you'll appreciate these stages way more as a really cool, relaxing thing. But we definitely still have more to talk about, because this is not the end of the different kind of genres of this game. That's right, there is more than this. There are actually like snowboarding stages, which is amazing. I mean, granted, I love this stage. I don't like the first half as much because the platforming is really tedious. But oh my god, when you get to the snowboarding part, it is amazing. Being chased by an avalanche, like tearing through the slopes, doing cool tricks and stuff. In fact, once again, this was so cool that they decided to reuse it in Sonic Adventure 2. Granted, to greater effect, but still, a very fun thing. A very different, varied gameplay that, like, they just tossed in the mix to kind of split up just the action platformer monotony. But that's not all, my friends. You like minigames? You like kart racing? Well, why don't you throw on some Twinkle Park? That's right, this game even has, like, kart racing to it. I personally love the music of this part, and this is also a thing that I like to do. You know, kind of like they have the minigame option where you can go play this. I would just go play this once in a while. Listen to the music, go through, try to get the best laps. It's really fun, and the cool thing is this particular thing is put also in the middle of a level. Actually, it's in the beginning, but so it's something that breaks it up before you get to the, you know, back to the action platforming. It's a cool little thing that breaks up the action and just a really fun time. And last but not least, you have basically Panzer Dragoon. That's right, they have this awesome, like, whole flying section. You actually do this a couple times in the game, but it plays just like Panzer Dragoon 1 or 2, I guess, or Orta really, but that hadn't come out yet. That said, once again, breaks up the monotony, and it's so cool. I just love how many varied and different things are in this game. Now, this kind of ties together the point I started with a long time ago. Why is this important? Besides the fact that, well, it's straight fun, but this game was a launch title on the Dreamcast. So, what's the best way to really showcase everything the Dreamcast can do? With one game. That's by making it this way. That's right, and this one game has action platforming, has puzzle solving kind of platforming, has shooter elements, third-person shooter games, has kind of, the racing aspect, snowboarding aspect, now a rail shooter. I mean, this game showed off everything, and yes, even Big the Cat's fishing. If you don't know, the Dreamcast had a lot of really great Sega fishing games. They even had a fishing rod controller. This game was not only meant to be the first 3D Sonic game and a real work of art, but also a real showcase of what the Dreamcast could do at launch. But come on, I haven't even talked about the best part yet. I mean, the part that makes Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 iconic, and the part that in this new open world 3D Sonic game that's coming out in 2022, if you're watching this video that year, I hope to God they do it. That is the Chow Garden. The Chow Garden? Oh man. So this is so much fun. You talk about breaking up the game. In between levels, you can go to these Chow Gardens, and all the animals you save and collect, and in Sonic Adventure 2, you also collect these little power kind of gem things. They're used to level up these chows. So chows are these little cute little alien creature kind of things, and they evolve and they transform on how you raise them. Different animals give them different stats and different parts, and then you race them. And when they race, they win stuff. This being the DX version, it's even more expanded. There's 3 different Chow Gardens in the game, one for each major kind of overworld area. And it is amazing. It is so fun. And the cool thing is back in the day, of course on the DX version you could do this too with the Game Boy Advance, but back on the Dreamcast they had virtual memory cards that had little screens on them, and you could actually import your Chow from the game to the memory card and basically have it like a Tamagotchi in your pocket all day, which I totally did. And you could level them up, raise them, get special items in certain cases, and then you bring it back, plug it in at the end of the day, put your Chow back in the main game, and boom, you get to experience, you know, all the stuff that you went on your pocket adventure now in the game itself. And it's awesome. I mean, like, if you hate the Chow Garden, then, like, you're a monster. And I've never met, even people that are critical of this game, I've never said anything but great things about this. But there we go. This is me rounding out the video. Like I said, the whole thing with this game is that it was like a glorified demo for the Dreamcast to show you everything it can do, while also incorporating one of Sega's, if not Sega's biggest IP they've ever had. And you know what? They did it in an awesome way. Granted, if you play each story one full thing at a time, it may feel a little monotonous, but if you jump around and really experience the story by playing the characters, like kind of progress them all together, it is a way better experience. But hey, that's just my opinion on this game. Like I said, it's me defending it, but you know, I want to know what you guys think. It was very hard for me to take apart my nostalgic view to really look at this game like I just did. But I'm telling you, you know, playing it in a certain way and enjoying what it is makes all the difference. You know, I'm not gonna lie, there's a little bit of jank to it, but I mean, like, come on, what game of that time didn't have jank to it? But hey, what do you guys think? These are just my views. Like I said, I'm going to defend this game till the end of time. I love this damn game. But what do you guys think? Is this a game that holds a nostalgic flame in your heart? Or do you just hate it? Are you one of those people that just really hates this game, really hates this series? I'd like to know what you guys think down below. Yeah, that's going to do it for today, guys. Once again, thank you so much. Thank you for muddling through the month of Sonic with me. I don't know if I'm ever going to do a themed month again. To be honest, I was like running out of ideas after I made like 3 videos. And I was like, why'd I do this? But hey, you know, this was the culmination. But anyway, as always, my friends, take it easy.